thank you guys for having me today. I'm gonna let the program begin here. I pull down Whitney. My name is Special K. I'm from KRBE's Rula and Ryan show. Thank you for letting me entertain you for a little while before this program starts. Thank you, Tag. It's all yours.
Thank you so much to DJ Special K. Can we have a round of applause for our awesome music today? Woo! We wanted to bring some sunshine into your days at home, and we know that music always provides that for everybody. So thank you again so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to TAG's 5th Annual State of Mobility. I'm Andrea French, Executive Director for TAG, and we are delighted you made time for this important conversation with our mayor today. We hope you enjoyed the live music and had an opportunity to connect with familiar and perhaps some new faces, all part of the amazing TAG community. We appreciate you and we thank you for your continued commitment and support. To say that these last few months have been difficult is an understatement. We know each and every one of you has individually suffered, sacrificed, and sustained sadness and pain beyond measure. A day of great pain for our community came with the passing of Mary Hammer due to COVID-19. Her passion and perseverance persists in all the people she touched. And today, right now, I'm asking each of you to make sure you mute your sound for a moment of silence as we remember and honor Mary and all those that we have lost during this pandemic. Thank you. Thank you, and we hope that each of you and your families and your friends and your colleagues find yourself safe and healthy today. Transportation has always been about where we want to be and how we get there. It seems fitting to think about that phrase in the context of the times we now find ourselves in. Where is it that we want to be most right now? How do we even begin to figure out how to get there? These answers are likely unique to each and every one of us as we cope and configure life's most complicated lessons currently being served to us with little warning and no roadmap. The layers of uncertainty can feel endless. The human spirit, lucky for us, also contains endless layers. Creativity, empathy, ingenuity, compassion, drive, innovation, and determination are just a few that easily come to mind. It will be this unique recipe that transports and moves us all forward with the key component of connection, bundling all of these layers together towards a common goal and destination. Connection, we have so deeply learned, is necessary, and we are finding it despite the distance. This has been our focus here at TAG, a commitment to connection despite the distance and the physical divides we will face for longer than we desire. A promise to persevere on behalf of the transportation community, a community threaded through the history of our region and positioned to pivot the future of our economy. Through TAG's home side chats, giving campaigns, legislative advocacy, and now virtual events, we are honored to serve our members, partners, and supporters. While the world has been frozen in countless ways, our industry has not. We will continue to recognize this and lead the advocacy for additional infrastructure investment. We have exciting and innovative initiatives planned. We will be called upon to lead job creation, innovate solutions to infrastructure, and forge faster movement of freight and goods. We will be asked to build the roads, rails, and trails and to construct the future of our public transportation network. We will be called upon to fully connect humanity once more, and we will be ready. TAG thanks each and every one of you for all that you've done to keep us moving. And today especially, I want to thank our sponsors, because this moment would not be possible without them. To Raytech Construction Resources, who has continued to provide safety initiatives for their employees, at all job sites, providing face masks for all their workers, and a committed partner to our local community with continued community service. Raytech Construction Resources, we thank you. Thank you to Impact Strategic Consulting, who has continued to provide emergency management and disaster recovery planning, program management, and implementation assistance to government, private, commercial, and nonprofit organizations. At a time when we need it most, they are providing the protocols that are needed in workspaces and beyond. Thank you to Impact Strategic Consulting. Thank you to AECOM. During the early stages of the COVID-19 outbreak, AECOM provided protective training to camera operators and newscast workers at a major broadcasting studio. Prior to the peak, they planned and designed and built thousands of overflow hospital beds in 5 major cities. AECOM is now stopping the spread of the virus by leading decontamination training and providing return to service guidance across all major sectors. Thank you to AECOM. Costello Engineering has worked endlessly with employees to ensure that they are staying at home and working safe, even providing an initiative and a contest for the best at-home workspace. They've partnered with their firms providing PPE for members of CEI teams working throughout the state. And they've supported local small businesses by purchasing masks from local seamstresses whose regular businesses were halted. Thank you to Costello Engineering. And to Port Houston, thank you for keeping business moving during the peak of our pandemic. Port Houston enacted temperature screenings at its facilities on April 6th and has continued to practice social distancing and safe working measures at all terminals. You can find information on all this screening process and more on the Port's website. Port Houston facilities have been steadily busy throughout the pandemic. Employees and labor remain committed to supporting port operations and supply chains in this critical time. Thank you to Port Houston. I'd also like to thank our table sponsors for today. These were those that went above and beyond to buy extra bundles to provide additional donated meals to Meals on Wheels. They are EHRA, Half Associates, Parsons Transportation, Goodman Corporation, the Gunda Corporation, and Traffic Engineers. Thank you so much for all that you've done today. And with your generosity, we have compiled more than 350 meals that will be donated to Meals on Wheels today. That is amazing. So round of applause, please, for all of our sponsors today and all of our generous donors. Thank you. And now it's time to recognize some of our elected officials and leaders that have joined us for today's event. Jack, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. There will be no funny business today. It already happened. And our recognition of elected officials and high officers of government. We have little time and they aren't dressed appropriately anyway, as you would see if we had asked them to stand and you looked closely. Now, regardless of the outfits that don't match and the gray streaks, we shall not proceed to further embarrass them. And them are State Representative Dennis Paul, Houston City Council members David Robinson, Carlos Cisneros, Sally Alcorn, and Abby Kamen, County Commissioner Jack Cagle, Sugar Land Mayor Joe Zimmerman, and Conroe Mayor Pro Tem Tommy Woolley. Women and men who make our city, county, and region run are board member Karin Patman and board members Sanjay Ramabhadran and Troy Taylor, joined by Metro President Tom Lambert. District Engineer Eliza Paul is with us, as are Houston Public Works Director Carol Haddock and Assistant Director Maureen Crocker, Department of Planning and Development Director Margaret Hollis Brown, and the city's Chief Development Officer Andy Yicken, along with Harris County Precinct 4 Director of Capital Improvements Pamela Rocky and Texas A&M Transportation Institute's Grand Poobah Tim Lomax. Regardless of how you all look today, we are mighty proud you are TAG partners. Now your applause, please. Applause, please. TAG board member and former co-chair, Dr. Carol Lewis, is, with deep knowledge and commitment and intensity, probably the most connected person to everything transportation as there is in these parts and far beyond. And I am proud to turn the computer screen and the unmute over to her. Dr. Lewis.
Okay, hello everyone. Delighted to be here as always. I'm here to speak about our motion map. Our motion map is our signature tag element, and we use it to help make sure we're all focused on our tag mission, which is to get more dollars into our region. As you know, earlier this year, we have our motion map online and it's interactive. We're really excited about that and hope you've had an opportunity to go to our site and look at it. If you go to taghouston.org, the motion map tab is right there, easily accessed. So please go to that tab and look at what we're doing in our region. Our commitment is to annually update our motion map. And so it's time for us to now begin that process. We'll be reaching out to our regional partners, TxDOT, the Metro, all of our cities, our counties, to ensure that we have listed all the things that are planned upcoming and the elements that have been accomplished. So we appreciate them and our Port of Houston partners as well as we assemble and update that particular document. So we'll look forward to getting back with you, and you can anticipate seeing Motion Map 2021 when we regather in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Here at TAG, we love saying thank you, and we love showing it. Our transportation community is beyond generous. Today alone, we have collected over 350 registrations, which equals 350 meals donated to Meals on Wheels. Your thank you videos that we asked during our TAG Giving campaign generated over 3 dozen meals to Kids Meals, Inc. And for trivia night, HDR, who won our trivia night, they will have donated over 50 meals to the Houston Food Bank. So we thank you so much for your generosity, and we have something special for everybody today. Enjoy the video.
Hello, this is Emily Anderson.
This is Raj Basavaraju.
And we just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of our healthcare heroes.
Everyone's kind of coming together in their own special way.
Without you, it would be impossible to provide the necessities not only for my family, but thousands of others.
Just wanted to say thank you to all the bus drivers for keeping us moving. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our elected leaders for keeping us moving.
And say thank you to all the truck drivers out there for keeping us moving. Keep on trucking and go Stros, baby.
I want to take the opportunity to thank all the TxDOT, county, city employees, and all those working to keep our transportation network flowing safely.
I want to thank all of our service providers, from health to transportation and food. You have kept us moving.
And I feel thankful for all the bike mechanics who are keeping Houston rolling through this very strange time.
Thank you to our frontline workers for everything you're doing. Take care of us and keep us moving forward.
This is the way you keep Houston and Texas going.
You are why we are as safe as we are today.
You deserve a badge of honor.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do.
Houston is moving forward because of you. Thank you.
So we've been distributing food now for a while. There's a lot of need.
Great. It took me a little bit, but we were trying to figure out how to do this global mute and unmute. Look, this video reminds us that during COVID-19, what we've learned is the way to lift each other up is through gratitude. And we're really grateful for the leadership of Mayor Sylvester Turner. He has been the rock. He's been somebody who has delivered for Houston time and time again, whether when right out of the gate doing the pension reform that we so much needed, to the incredible rebound after Harvey that no one really expected. But Houston came back better and stronger. And through fun times, whether it's through the Astros games or really hosting the Super Bowl, Sylvester Turner is somebody who has put Houston first. He has led us, and he has consistently been the leader that, you know, rallies us for our better angels. So as Houston faces tough time, what makes me optimistic, and a big part of that, is the leadership of Sylvester Turner. So with that, please help me welcome our mayor, Sylvester Turner.
Thank you, Mustafa, and I'm hoping everyone can hear me. Thanks, Mustafa. I appreciate that. And look, all of you can be seated. Please sit down. Thank you for that ovation, and I know you want to go on, but please take your seats. Look, good afternoon, and to Andrea and Jack and Dr. Carol Lewis and everyone. It's good to be a part of this event one more time, even though this time we're doing it virtually. This will be my fifth, I guess, State of Transportation speech before TAG. So I want to start off by thanking TAG for hosting this online program and adapting so seamlessly to working remotely. Thank you also to TAG for leading transportation advocacy, including the Metro Bond, educating and advocating locally on the state level and federal level with our federal officials on transportation funding, and for your Homeside Chat series, which connects our community with leaders. I want to thank the many partners in our city in their efforts to create complete multimodal transportation systems that work for all residents, employees, and visitors to our great city. And transportation works as a system, and it's a system of partners that make transportation work. So let me thank some of those partners. Of course, TAG, you're at the top of the list, the Houston City Council members, and those who are part of this program today, Harris County, Metro, big shout out to Metro, TxDOT, HGAG, Houston Bike Share, Parks Board, Bike Houston, Link Houston, the Greater Houston Partnership, and there are so many, many, many others. And, you know, as I've said for 4 consecutive years, and let me just say for the 5th consecutive year, let me just say hello again to TxDOT. You know, we are just having a love fest. I have also said that Houston is a can-do city. It remains a can-do city, and without a doubt, we have had our share of challenges within our city. We call them opportunities, and these last few months have provided us with some very different opportunities, the likes of which we've never seen before. But what we have learned these last few months, really what we have learned over the last, over the last decade, has only made Houston stronger. And we're building a city that's stronger, more resilient, and more sustainable, with transportation being a part of it. Mother Nature has shown us the importance of resilience. Water, heat, and the weather will all continue to challenge us and thereby provide us more opportunities for growth. And we honor these natural opportunities by adopting a cutting-edge resilience strategy and a climate action plan, both which recognize the critical role transportation plays in our lives. And one of the key ways that we realize the future success of those plans is through mobility. And that's why we have committed to a paradigm shift. I spoke about that in January of 2016 when I came into office, a paradigm shift in our transportation network, including a new mindset that prioritizes moving people and not just moving cars, while accommodating all trips. We are focused on completing the 500 miles of high comfort bike lanes by 2025, as well as the Metro Next Transit Plan for our region, building resilient roads that strategically address both drainage and travel with the same investment, ending traffic-related deaths and serious injuries among all road users in the city by 2030, with a commitment to the Vision Zero. I know that's an admirable goal, but if we work together, I think we can get it. We can certainly improve the situation from where it is today. The Vision Zero action plan will be scheduled to be released in September, and implementing Vision Zero Houston will make the streets safer for all users of all ages and all abilities. adopting workable places and transit-oriented development amendments to the city code to provide a way for our private developer partners to build walking into our city's DNA. And then, of course, the Interstate 45, the North Houston Highway Project, is the project of a generation, not just of a decade, but of a generation. I created an engagement process unlike any Houston has seen before. And as a result of that year-long process, I sent a letter to TxDOT identifying my goals, the city's goals for this project, goals that will transform, and I underscore the word transform, the project into a benefit to the city and to the region. TxDOT, I'm pleased to say, is listening, and I look forward to working with them as we move forward to establish, to join forces in the goals that we have put forth. And these goals for all of the segments, 1, 2, and 3, for all the segments, include strengthening Houston's economy, reduce flooding on and off the freeway, make travel safer for all road users, provide long-term capacity for all users of the road, including automobile, freight, and transit, serve and preserve the neighborhoods along the corridor while enhancing connectivity between the neighborhoods, mitigate impacts to existing parks and green space while creating additional opportunities for green space, and limit the right-of-way to the extent necessary to meet the project goals, including reducing the footprint of the original proposed plan, and ensure accessible evacuation routes. And if we can mutually agree, based on these goals that I've outlined, transportation will truly shape the city of Houston for decades to come. And this will be a transformational project that all of us will be extremely proud of. And so I look forward to continuing to work with TxDOT. I especially want to acknowledge Commissioner Ryan for her support and the TxDOT staff, all of them who've been working very closely with those of us in the city of Houston. Let me talk about another project. The Texas Central High-Speed Train Project is reaching maturity. It kind of slowed down a little bit because of COVID-19, but if you allow me to say this, I think it's getting back on track. The permitting process is almost complete, entering its final stage of financing to start construction as soon as practical. And I hope, initially in January, we were looking at the end of the year, but I'm hoping we can get construction started very, very soon, if not the end of this year, the first part of the first quarter of 2021. That's my hope. Perhaps now more than ever, even in these difficult economic times, the high-speed train to Dallas remains a glowing opportunity for Texas. And wouldn't it be something coming out of having gone through COVID-19 and slowly working ourselves through COVID-19, even learning how to coexist with this virus, to manage this virus? Wouldn't it just be something for the state of Texas to have the Texas Central High-Speed Train moving forward either the end of this year or in the first quarter of 2021? Not only will the train be a new, safe, and efficient way to travel and a way to ease congestion and increase safety along I-45, but the proposed high-speed train will be an economic catalyst for the Texas and the United States economies. With tens of billions of dollars of investment, the privately owned Texas Central project will create more than 17,000 jobs during construction and a multi-billion-dollar economic impact across the United States, with contracts for steel, equipment, and concrete, and hundreds of other manufacturing projects, services, and trades that will bring opportunities to minority and women-owned businesses, veterans, and rural businesses along the alignment. And to this end, the City of Houston continues to support this initiative and works closely with Texas Central to see that this transformational project becomes a reality as soon as possible. I mean, can you imagine, after going through so much in the last several years, from the storms in 2016, the Tax Day flood, Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Imelda in 2019, the coronavirus in 2020. If, for example, we can coalesce, get on the same page behind the I-45 project, which if done correctly can be transformational, not just for the city, but for the region. And if the Texas Central High-Speed Train project, again, if things come together and it can move forward, those two projects alone could really speak volumes to people and businesses and others across the country, across the world, who are looking for places to invest. And it would be ideal for people to invest in the city of Houston, in the region, because they see that this is a region that's highly resilient. Regardless of what comes our way, we're able to bounce back, and we can do it with the emphasis on transportation, on mobility, and these transformational projects. So it would just bode well for our whole region as we move forward. This year's opportunity was something new, something different, and unlike flooding, it was something that this city has never seen, COVID-19. Some say it was a challenge, but remember, in Houston, that's just another opportunity to learn. We learn new and innovative ways of how to keep Houston strong, progressive, and productive. And we did it from our living rooms, right in our homes. In fact, the whole world saw Houstonians practice social distancing, remain safe, and keep the city functioning at its best, all while staying very much connected. What the world might not have realized was that this year's COVID opportunity proved that our foresight to invest in multimodal transportation was and continues to be money well spent. We have committed to providing a city where people can walk, bike, ride transit, and drive. And because of that paradigm shift and forward thinking, our city remained a city in motion. Even during COVID-19, the city kept moving forward. Modified, we made adjustments, we adapted, but we kept moving forward. We also learned that our transportation does not control us. We control our transportation. For the last few months, the city has stayed open for business. We did not shut down, and we have been able to provide core services to our citizens. The bonus is that traffic has never been lighter. We learned how to thrive in a new normal and can apply those lessons now that the world is opening again. We can work from our homes, coffee shops, or virtual offices and still get the job done. We can still have a luncheon. People can still buy tables. They can contribute to people who need our help the most. And we can do it virtually, just like we're having this speech right now. You can clap for that. Thank you so very much. Let me continue. We have proven teleworking can be successful, and we can encourage different work shifts to help reduce congestion on our city streets and employ more people in our stores and shops. We've learned how to meet online from anywhere in the city, and we can play and pray, work and live, and we don't have to be stuck in traffic to do it. What we learn is that traffic is not a foregone conclusion. It requires us to be thoughtful and continue our commitment to access by all modes. It encourages us to make trips all throughout the day, including work trips, freight trips, and daily errands. The more we can become a 24-hour city with options to walk, bike, ride transit, and drive, the less we are stuck in traffic. The added benefits are improved air quality, a better work-life balance, safer streets, and a better Houston for all. The city has already endorsed this vision, and together we are making it a reality. We voted for $3.5 billion for the Metro Next Moving Forward plan and 500 miles of transit improvements. To be clear, this is not Metro's plan for transit. This is Houston's transit plan. To help it work best for all Houstonians, we are collaborating with Metro on their individual projects and their transit design manual to ensure Houston streets work for all modes. Last year alone, Houston, along with its partners, cumulatively added nearly 50 miles of high comfort bike lanes to our city's infrastructure. This keeps us on pace for the 1,500 miles of high comfort bike lanes in our bike plan. We built $9.7 million of sidewalks, eliminating the backlog of accessibility requests. We increased funding for street rehabilitation projects, expending $150 million to improve drainage in streets over 229 lane miles in the year 2020, including some of our most heavily traveled streets, such as Richmond, Long Point, and Fuquay. And last year's pilot initiative has become the foundation for my citywide street rehabilitation program, which will define a schedule for every city street to be rehabilitated to state of good repair. We support HGAT's Commute Solutions program that helps employers and colleges, property managers, and more to manage transportation demand and create a smarter commute for their members. And when we proactively manage our travel, our transportation system works even better for everyone. And we are progressively reviewing our infrastructure for opportunities to realize the Complete Streets Executive Order to make our streets more context sensitive and user friendly. And we are revising our infrastructure design manual to ensure that it is an active working document. In September, we'll debut the city's Vision Zero Action Plan, because all city streets should be safe for all of our 2.3 million residents. The goal will be 0 deaths by 2030, and it will include all the ways to get there, including engineering, enforcement, education, evaluation, and equity. And I encourage you all to go to the project's website at visionzerohouston.com and take the pledge yourself to make our streets safer, and join us on June 9th for the first Vision Zero virtual open house. We've also learned that our streets are our biggest real estate asset, and we are not getting the full value from them. We have been seeing our streets for so long as only one thing, but streets don't need to do the same job 24 hours per day, 7 days per week, 365 days per year. During COVID-19, we saw that our streets were being used to move people at some times of day, and those same roads were being used as play spaces at other times. We learned that space used for parking sometimes can be used for restaurant pickup zones at other times. Learning this lesson is a huge benefit for our city, because the more ways we can use our roads, the more value we provide to our community. It is time to implement what we have learned and continue to build forward, because that's what Houston does. And that's how Houston stays strong and competitive. Houston is forward thinking, and we are always preparing for the future. If we take what we have learned and utilize it, then we'll be ready to apply these lessons as our transportation landscape evolves. Transportation, mobility, all of these things don't just work well for the city of Houston. It is important that we work well for those in our surrounding regions, with elected officials and others all throughout the region. That's what we've done. And I think we've learned it well in our battle against the coronavirus. One of the reasons why our numbers are comparatively low, not just in the city of Houston, but in our region, is because we've been able to work effectively together. And that's why I know, despite what people may say, as we continue to work to reopen in a measured and safe way, I believe that people will realize 2 years from now or 3, how this region bounced back for quicker than anyone will ever imagine. And I believe transportation, transit, mobility is a vital component in moving us forward. So let me thank TAG for having me. Let me say this year it's different than the last 4 when we've come together at this luncheon. But we are still meeting, we're still coming together. This is still an annual transportation address. That hasn't changed, and neither has it stopped. And that's the good report. That's the good news. And that is, we're not trying to go back to where we were in January or February, but we're moving to create a new normal and a new environment and a new transportation transit system that will be stronger, more resilient, more sustainable than ever in the history of our city. And I'm excited about that. And I look forward to continuing to work with you over the next several years. Thank you for having me, and be safe, stay strong.
Thank you, Mayor. If you can hang on for a few minutes, we have some questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Can you, what I'm hearing from a lot of our viewers today is, what is your ask of us, of this community, and some of the initiatives that you talked about, better utilizing the streets. I know some areas have piloted, curb fees for restaurants. Obviously, we're not looking to impact the service industry anymore at this moment, but in the future, is it kind of an open bag of options, or are you looking at specific initiatives that we can help support?
Well, one of the things, there are several things that we're working on. For example, even in March and April, we never stopped construction projects. Those projects continue. We continue to work on our streets. On all of our infrastructure projects, we are still moving forward. That has never stopped. It's my hope, for example, that with regards to, for example, to the high-speed train, that will push forward and we'll go forward. With respect, for example, to the Interstate 45 projects, that we can work, we can agree on the objectives, the goals and objectives that we have outlined, and create something transformational. So we're moving forward on that. We're looking at different ways of doing things, being innovative as it relates to our transportation system, and it is a system. Metro, I'm excited about what's happening there. People voted for it. I know the financing market is somewhat uncertain, so that may cause some things to slow down a little bit, but we need to really recommit ourselves to moving forward and getting it done. Collaboration becomes the key. It is important that we work with all of our partners in the region. And if we collaborate, if we partner, if we engage in public-private initiatives, utilize all of the resources and the intellectual capital that we have, then we can get it done. I just, for people who in many ways have a tendency of counting people out or saying that, we've been so adversely impacted that it's going to take a long time to recover. What I would say is that if we stay together, work together, then we can come out of this much sooner than people would realize. So collaboration is something that I underscore.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, questions about kind of an overview of the city's role in working with TxDOT to explore the options for segments 1 and 2 of I-45, and then kind of how we can support that collaboration as well. I know we at TAG are really pleased to see the collaboration that's happening between TxDOT and the city.
Well, a lot of people have voiced a lot of thoughts, concerns with respect to the I-45 project. It is a huge project, $7.5 billion. And it goes from segments 3, on the south side, all the way to segments 2 and 1 on the north side. But it's it's a huge project. In many ways, we're asking TxDOT to kind of think outside of the box the way they would normally design, construct a project of this kind, a highway project, but to think outside the box. I am pleased to say that our conversations with Commissioner Ryan and with the entire staff of TxDOT All of those conversations have been very, very, very positive. And so I'm pleased with that. But it's important if we can get a good consensus established and can move forward. That will be transformative, not just internally within the city of Houston, but even beyond. So I'm very much excited. And I don't just speak about this project as one segment. For example, I just don't speak about it as segment 3. I speak about it as segments 1, 2, and 3. And that's because people want to see, when it's all said and done, what is it going to look like and what would be the overall impact. So we've tried to outline a number of goals and objectives that we've shared with TxDOT, and they have been very responsive to what we've done. We recognize there's give and take. Got to satisfy, also meet TxDOT objectives. And then at the same time, the city of Houston has objectives. And the key is to be for both to be on the same page so we can create and establish a win-win and not a win-lose. But I am very pleased with the conversations and the discussions that we've had. I've always had a very good relationship with TxDOT, with all of the partners, and I look forward to continuing that relationship with them.
Thank you, Mayor. And finally, it's an ask about the federal piece, right? So we know there's been a lot with the CARES Act, and we have a lot of our members asking how we can support, and kind of if we could summarize what that ask is. We here at TAG are looking at the infrastructure pieces for the funding from the federal government. We know what our ask is individually for the industry, but we wanted to know how we can also support what you're asking of the federal government at this time.
Well, we do need additional funding from the federal government. Look, everyone wants to reopen. Everybody wants, and I want us to reopen. And Mayor Joe Zimmerman and I have talked about it on many occasions about reopening. Conversations with the county judge, Judge Lena Hidalgo. We all want to reopen. But our local government represents the support base for our private sector and nonprofit sector, but especially for the private sector. We are the support to our private businesses. We are responsible for the infrastructure that's needed. You can't, in many ways, you can't open unless we have a vibrant, let's say, permitting department that works with you and then slow down the process. So it's important for us to have the resources and the personnel that we need in order to do our job, to provide that support, so that the private sector can do what they do best. And but at this point in time, we haven't still gotten that support that would help for us to maintain the personnel and the resources that we need in order to support everyone else. So I certainly would encourage people to contact their congressional leaders and to encourage them to provide local governments with added flexibility, even as it relates to dollars that have already been sent, greater flexibility in that regard. And at the same time, to look at providing additional dollars for local governments, so that, and this is not to bail out pensions and all of that. We addressed our pension issues early on, so that's not our issue. And when you look at what Texas has done, especially the region, how we've responded, the number of people who have died, for example, from COVID-19, 100,000. And when you look at this particular region, our numbers represent a very small percentage of that number. And it's because we did things early, proactively, early. And so, the impact on local governments has been a reduction on sales tax, user fees, and things of that nature. And now we're scrambling to try to fill those holes so that we can continue to be supportive of infrastructure projects and others who are helping to move our city forward. So we would really appreciate the support on the federal level to encourage that type of financial support to local governments so that we can continue to provide the infrastructure support for the private sector and others as we move to reopen our economies.
Thank you, Mayor. And I wanted to wrap up. I know you have to go. You're a busy man these days. We thank you so much for your time today and for your wisdom and your leadership. I also want to just reinstate that we were able to donate over 350 meals to Meals on Wheels as a result of this program today. And it will continue to be a part of everything that we do at TAG. The giving piece will be a component. And so we thank you for your service and modeling that service to others. And we look forward to partnering with you and supporting you.
Well, thank you, Andre. Look, I appreciate the support for the entire city. You know, I can't say enough for all of the partners. Certainly, again, want to acknowledge the members of City Council who've been, very focused on helping to move our city forward, working with Harris County, with the county judge and the county commissioners, especially on many of these street projects. I do want to acknowledge all of the commissioners because we've worked with Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Cagle, Commissioner Raddick. So on all of them, they are partnering and investing dollars even inside the city on street projects. So I want to thank them. I want to acknowledge our work with the county judge, Lena Hidalgo, and then all of the mayors and the county judges in the surrounding area. I think one thing that we've learned is that we work so much better when we're working together. And what happens internally, for example, within the city of Houston, is impacted by what happens in the region. And what happens in the region is impacted by what takes place within the city of Houston. So, and that's on transportation, transit mobility projects included. And so as we work to service our region, we have to take into account how these transportation transit projects will impact, for example, local communities and neighborhoods, property owners within our city. But at the same time, we try to strike a balance with what's happening, the impact of these projects will have on people in the region. And it's a delicate balance. It's a delicate balance, but it is important for us to take the time and the opportunity to try to get on the same page and establish a consensus. This is not a win-lose. We're trying to create a win-win situation. So again, I want to thank TAG. Y'all have been out front on the advocacy end. Let me encourage you to encourage the state to, again, let's kind of expand our way of thinking. You know, we're certainly pushing TxDOT to expand its way of thinking and how these big projects are done, because we have to build a very nimble society and we have to recognize the changing dynamics. All of those are important, and if we do it and if we can get it right, then all of us will certainly benefit. So let me thank TAG. Let me thank you. I appreciate your advocacy, and I appreciate you all being out there on the front line, and I certainly appreciate you all being nimble enough to change the format so that we can continue these luncheons. And having said that, you know, all of you all can now sit down. I appreciate that. You know, so thank you all so very, very much. And the cheesecake was just delicious. It was, I can't tell you. I mean, I am just so full. I could barely, you know, get through the speech because the luncheon was just delicious.
Thank you, Mayor. Always a delight, even in the toughest of times. We appreciate you very much, and we look forward to supporting you. For those that are still tuning in, look forward to more Homeside Chats coming next week. Some of them will be Commissioner Cagle, Jack Cagle. I just wanted to thank our mobility partners for supporting the Homeside Chat series, and look forward to more of those coming soon. We've got Harris County Commissioner Jack Cagle, Houston Public Works Director Carol Haddock, as well as Texas Transportation Commissioner Laura Ryan coming in the next few weeks. So we look forward to sharing those with you, and thank you for everything that you've done today and tomorrow to support us. Thank you.